Good morning and welcome. Today, after much thought and sitting with it for weeks, I really wanted to address something that's very prevalent right now, not just in particular countries, but around the world. Something that our forefathers and around the world had taken the liberties to make sure it doesn't go awry. But unfortunately, in the time that we live in now, it's become more prominent that we disregard the basic rights of all humans. I wanted to start with, looking at what is a human right. A human right is actually the fundamental right inherent to every human, regardless of your race, regardless of your sex, your nationality, your ethnicity, your language, religion, and any other status that you bear. From the time you come out of your mother's womb and open your eyes and make that first scream, you have a human right. And it's a given right, just being present on this planet. And it's over centuries, with the atrocities that have occurred, people who have stood up for others have pushed forth laws that would enable for a peaceful environment and political environment. And because a human right comes in many forms. It comes your civil and your political rights, your economic, social, and cultural rights, your right to life, your right to participate in public life, your right for equality before the law. Without these, we can't function as a civil society because none of us are bigger and better than the other. None of us, either by the base of the color of our skin or our religious differences, is better than the other. We all come in exactly the same, every single one of us. And it's really important that we uphold others accountable for this. It is extremely important that when we decide as a globe of 8 billion people, when we vote for those who we give the key to our lives to make some calls on how the economics of our countries work, do not take away our human right within our countries for that matter. And it's up to us as individuals to make sure that we don't drop the ball. We don't get complacent and say, it doesn't matter, it's got nothing to do with us, so we just leave it alone. Because eventually, it does have something to do with you. Eventually, you will have to face that. And at that time, if those rights are not implemented and in place, you will not be able to use that law to save yourself or people that you love. If you go back in history, even in ancient times, the Persians, the Judaism, Christianity, Islam, they all emphasized concepts of justice, of compassion, right? They knew in the ancient times that we should not cross a line. If you look at the Magna Carta, which was my favorite when I studied history, in 1215, it's an English document and it limits the power of the monarch and establishes a certain legal right for the citizens, marking early steps, right? Early steps, because this is in 1215, recognizing an individual's right. Because you can't have someone who comes into power just arbitrarily deciding that they can take away any laws that have been put in place to protect another human. Because when you allow that to happen, what you're saying to them is, we disregard certain humans. That is not and should not be allowed, because every single human deserves the right. You may not like them based on their religion, race, or whatever, but you should not be pointing the finger at someone based on the fact that you have thinking that you are better than the other person, because you are not. None of us are better than the other, right? In the 17th and 18th century, key thinkers like Jean Locke and Jacques Rousseau also articulated theories of natural rights, arguing that the individuals possess inherent rights that governments must respect, right? Because we as people create the governments. We created the governments. We are the ones who run for government. So when we are in there, we need to make sure that we understand why we went there in the first place and make sure that we hold everybody else accountable and that they cannot eliminate what was there in the first place to protect the liberties of others. The American and the French Revolution, they resulted in declarations of enshrined fundamental rights. The French Declaration of Rights for man and for this citizen, it was done for the rights of others. Again, when we went down, you look at the 19th and early 20th century, this saw a huge progress in areas of abolition of slavery, the expansion of political rights, the coming of international human rights, the principles of state sovereignty largely that could not be challenged. So again, we as a society were progressing, right? It really came down to after World War II, especially after the atrocities of the Holocaust, and making sure that something like that never happens again, right? And so a Universal Declaration of Human Rights was implemented in 1948. There's a reason why we did that. So history does not repeat itself. It doesn't mean that it never happened earlier than that. It was, and that's why all these rights were created in the world, in all these different countries, all coming to an understanding that this should not be the case. So why are we going backwards? Why do we feel it's okay to do what we're doing at the moment? International treaties were signed after World War II, making sure that they were rights for individuals who were in distress, because again, it is our responsibility as people of this planet to protect other people of this planet, not look at it as we want to destroy them, because that is not how humans have to be with each other. Animals don't even do that. And so, if you look at the evolution of human rights, it really kind of took off after World War II because, of the millions gassed because of their religion. And again, I ask you, you have been wronged. You should not take that and forget that you have been wronged and do that to somebody else, right? We have to go back to why the rights were expanded, why we continue to evolve as a world, as a globe, to protect the rights of every new human that comes into this world, have the God-given human right, which is theirs. And we as a group, a collective, should respect that and uphold that, has unified for the sake of a human's right, not creating biases because of our right, our religions, our race, our past, our anger with each other based on our forefathers. We cannot keep pulling the past into the present and into the future if we want to really evolve as a collective. And our journey on this planet is to evolve. If we didn't evolve, we wouldn't have come so far. But right now, what's happened is we are going backwards. And that should not happen. And I ask you, as those who listen to this, to really think about it and make sure that you hold your institutions in every single one of your countries liable to uphold this law for the sake of growth for humanity. Because we all of us, not deserve a human right. It is our birthright to have a human right.